You finish at 11.
What time do we finish?
You've got 2 minutes.
You've got the keys, you have till
That's
5
it.
o'clock.
No chance.
24 hours we're on today.
Oh, I'll make it. I'm lost for words. I
I
didn't know she was doing this to me since I've been like 18 months since I've even spoke on a microphone. Yeah, but I was rehearsing yesterday and it felt funny. But yeah, I'll just go on the part that Denise asked me to go on probably on the physical aspects and stuff. Rachel, my youngest, who is 30, I just get...
Wow.
Are you like that, mums? I always forget what age you
Yeah,
are.
I'm like that.
Yeah,
you only look like you're 30.
is she, how old is she? She's 36 now.
She's
Yeah, I had her when I was 11.
she's only younger.
Oh, we've got to have fun. So, anyway, and before Rachel, my youngest baby, I had 8 miscarriages. And within the miscarriages, it was always 3 months when I lost. And about the 4th, 5th one, the consultant had a great relationship with me, I wonder why. And he said, "Hiya, Bridie, you're a little fighter, aren't you?" So I said, yeah. He said, I just remember his words, he said, "You're very, very fertile." I said, "Really?" And he said, "So I'm asking you to really take care of yourself and of your body and everything." And at 20 odd, 30 odd, well 20 odd I was, you don't think like that, you know, you just don't. Anyway, I went on to have one more just before Rachel, and it was terrible. I went to 5 months and they kept me in hospital all that time, but I lost the baby. And they said to me, "Do you want to have a look at her?" And I said, "No, don't want to. I just couldn't. So after that, I thought, right, that's it. I'm a fighter. I try and defy nature.
Yeah.
I do try and defy when nature is in place, you know, I'm not thinking. And then I remember Denise stood outside the hospital. I think you were on your own then. And Carol, who was one of my best friends' midwife, she was from New York, and she was lovely. And Dave, who's passed, hasn't he? And they used to come up and see me, and they were talking about God. At this time, I was far from God. And Denise came in, and she said, "But God cares." And I couldn't understand why. Well, how could God care when I'm in pain? I'm in pain, so is that a God that cares? Wasn't I? I was terrible. And she said, "Yeah, He knows everything." And blah, blah. But I couldn't understand it, but it was a seed that went into my heart, and I thought, well, I'll believe that, because there was no hope in me in the way I felt. I had to have a help, and I knew the help wasn't from this world. I just knew it. It was like a supernatural, and I couldn't even say that was the word at the time because I didn't understand. And anyway, I went through that one. The consultant said to me, "Right, Bridie, I'm asking you now," and I'll just never forget his words. He said, "I'm asking you, do not get pregnant. You cannot get pregnant because your life, you know." Oh no, I got septicemia on that one, and they had to do everything. So I said, "I won't, doctor." He said, "Give your body time to heal and time to rest." So I said, yeah. Anyway, 3 months later, I was pregnant with Rachel, and I didn't do it deliberately. It just fell that way. And I remember thinking, "Oh God, I can't go through all this again." And I got really depressed and down. But I was bad. Remember, Denise? I was so bad. And they couldn't give me medication to treat my depression because I was pregnant. And brought a psychiatrist down to see me, because they said, "We're going to have to admit you now because we're going to watch you." And I said, "A psychiatrist? Nothing wrong with me." And I was like, bawling all the time. And he said, "But Bridie, there's things that you need to talk about." And I said, "No, I don't need to talk about anything." He said, "Yes, there is, and we're not trained in that field." And he sat on the end of the bed, the psychiatrist, and I was ashamed of my life. And I said, "Why have they brought you? Why have they brought you?" He said, "You just need to talk things out around him, you know." And he was absolutely beautiful. And anyway, the consultant came up to me and he said, "We're going to give you a scan, this is on Rachel, and in 2 weeks' time we're going to let you home for the weekend. And on the weekend I hemorrhaged. And then I went back in, they rushed me back in, and I thought, this is it. This is, I can't take any more, I can't do any more to my body. And they brought me in upstairs, and they said, right, what we're going to do now is scan you immediately. And I said, okay then. And when they got into the scan, they said, oh, there's a heartbeat.
Thank you, Jesus.
Oh, I said, oh really? A heartbeat? He said, yeah, you've got a heartbeat. And baby's looking fine. Oh, I said, really? And I was past the part where they classed me as danger. And he said, but you will have to stay in for quite a while. I said, oh, okay, that's fine. And meanwhile, do you remember that poem, Footprints? I read that, Mary gave the footprints to me. And I remember reading it, and a weight come off me. A weight, it was definitely supernatural. And I felt, and I'm very, very careful to say, God spoke to me. You know, I'm very careful to say that. And there was a voice, and it said, I'll carry you all the way. And I knew it was God. I just knew it was God, and my belief in God was really, really getting stronger. And I think at times you do hear faith from other people and encouragement from other people, but when you experience your own self that there is a God, you know there's a God. And then I went on and give perfectly, if I can say, it was a good delivery, and she was great, and I got Rachel. And so she is a miracle. She's a miracle baby. And then with Mia, her daughter, my granddaughter, she was in hospital, and she's 7 now, and she was seriously ill at 18 months, I think 1, and she was took in for, they found it was meningitis. And I remember the doctors getting us together and saying she's got one of the worst type, which is the bacterial one. And I knew that there is positive thinking, but then there's trusting.
Come on, let go now.
It's completely different. And I remember being in the room when he said she's got one of the worst. Now the doctors are beautiful, they're just going on what they know. But that's when I think, you know, the test of your faith comes up then.
Yes, come
Well,
on.
I don't understand things. I don't know why this has happened. And I think if we try and make it out in our own mind, we'll drive ourselves crazy. And then he said, yes, got the worst type. Anyway, that was that. This is when my daughter came back off holiday. Mia was in tubes. She was lying in the bed in tubes and in intensive care, if that's what you call it for the babies. Rachel was on holiday, she didn't even know. And I went over to her in her ear and whispered. And I spoke future. That's all I did, I spoke future. I said, Mia, you will be dancing.
Come on, tell the truth.
You will wear dresses. I will
Glory
take
to
you to
God.
the park. You will be in school. You're going to be doing well. And she was only a baby. I got the earlobe, went right inside it. And then I said, inside you now, meningitis, you have no authority. The authority lies within me. I said, so I'm telling you now, get out. Well, the doctors came over to me and they said, are you Nana? I said, yeah. They said, do you think you need a bit of a sleep? That's what they said. And I said, well, probably do then. I thought, they're kicking me out. So she came through it absolutely brilliant. And the consultant, no side effects. And is she going to the park? Yes.
Yes.
Does she dance? Yes. Is she good at school? Latest school report, star pupil. So it all came to pass. Did it pain? Did it hurt?
Thank you, Jesus.
While the process was going on? Of course it did. There's pain. I could have just gone the opposite way. You know, I could have chose to go in that mindset. Why God? Why? Hello? But I just went the other way. But it was like it wasn't me. That's the only way I could describe it. And then there's Anita. Anita's my oldest. I had her when I was 7. And I nearly died on and you know, the I was, you know, only 21, and I nearly died, and I did feel the feeling of death. I felt the feeling of a different weakness that you can't compare. And I said to the consultant, "Am I dying?" And he wouldn't answer me. And they tilted the bed up and everything, and he said, still wouldn't answer. So I knew, because he's not answering, I was fighting. And then when I come through it, I said to him, "Why did you not tell me?" You know, I said, when I said, "Am I dying? Why did you not say anything?" He said, "Because you would have lost the will to live.
Come on, open up.
You would have lost your fight.
Open up.
If we would have said it, you would have." And I thought, see the consultants, the brilliant. So yes, there's healing. That's Anita and Michael. You know, knocked over in a serious car accident, in a coma. My son, 3 months in a coma, and we had to bottle feed him at 11 years old. Put nappies on him, you know, put him in a harness, physios and everything. And I didn't understand. I just didn't understand the tragedy of my son getting knocked over like that. I was saying, "God, where was your protection? Where was this? Where was that?" But again, I went the other way. And then the family came, and we were in the parents' quarters for ICU, and it was a lovely time with the family, and they were very supportive. And I remember lying in the bed. Now listen, I didn't even, and I'm not saying this, but I didn't open the Bible. I was heartbroken, because I just remember my son going on a paper round, and then he came back different. So I didn't know. I wasn't praying, if you like talking to God. I wasn't doing it. I was distraught. And in the parents' quarters, I lay down and I opened the Bible, and it's the Isaiah, "I will make new pathways." And the consultant had just said to me, "Mike, the night before, we're not sure how he's going to be. We think he could be the mind of a 3-year-old. But the brain, it's on his side, because till he's 21, the brain grows, it stops after that. So he's got his age on his side." It says, so new pathways could build. And I got that scripture the night before. And you know, I thought, God is faithful, you know, like just because I didn't do this and I didn't do that, God is not punishing us. God is a faithful God, you know. I wasn't on my knees 24 hours a day. I just wasn't. I just knew that God loved me, and he wasn't judging. There's nothing like that. And because I didn't do the works mentality, if you like, he knew I loved him. God knew I loved him. And for them times there, when they said that about Michael, and Mick was distraught as well, and Mick got him, I'm not laughing, I'm just laughing about this, not laughing at it. But Mick got Michael from the consultant and put him over his shoulders, and he said, "You're not having him," and walked out the hospital. And the consultant said, "Leave him. He's grieving, just leave him." And then he brought Michael back then. You know, so there was hard times that we went through, but we're standing. We're standing, you know, and we could have, there's loads of things we can't make out. And I think all of us could just say, "Oh, you know what, I don't understand, so I'm not sure whether I should put the towel in here, because I don't understand." Not once have I thought, put the towel in.
Come on, thank you, Jesus.
Not once. I just, things that you don't understand, but God has really, in it, all my children, just really, really blessed, helped, saved, healing process and everything like that. It's an experience and a relationship that's not of this world.
Thank you, Jesus.
It's supernatural. So anybody here who's in pain, anybody here is in suffering, and feels maybe even low, you know, don't try and make it out in your own mind, but just give it over to God. Give it, say, "I can't take it. I can't take this anymore," whatever it is, and hand it, physically, spiritually, hand it over to him.
Amen.
That stops your mind reasoning in the natural.
Amen.
So that's it. I hope it's, it's Denise, it's 11:25.